Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I must thank SHRM and Nachal here for giving me this wonderful opportunity to share this platform with some of the giants here, and some of them are sitting right out here and being part of such a high-profile event, one of many, but it really stands out in a way. I think, the SHRM has its own wonderful reputation. If you're wondering, what am I doing here on this platform with such HR giants and veterans? I would suggest you ask Achal, who's sitting here. She knows better. But SHRM has this unique way of placing people under the spotlight. And further, she clarified that one of the reasons why she wants me to talk here is because of my relative unfamiliarity with HR, since I've been in this role as CHRO of Bharti Airtel for just a little more than 2 years. And 2 years is too short a span for me to share big experiences with this experienced crowd. But 2 years of learning, I think, is a lot to share, and that's exactly what I want to do today. Okay, can I have those slides, please? Okay, if I were to go down my memory lane, way back in 1985, I passed out my chartered accountancy and soon landed my dream as a finance management trainee in Unilever, a company I served for 23 years. Unilever is a great institution which encourages people to rediscover themselves and explore different avenues in their career. So I spent 14 years in finance, 4 years in supply chain, 2 years in HR, and 3 years leading a global information technology project for Unilever. My 23 years of Unilever was really a very rich, diversified kind of experience. Then I joined Bharti Airtel in 2008 as CFO, and I was pretty much convinced that a blue-blooded finance bird had finally found its nest. 27 quarters as a CFO of India's leading telecom company, at times when the sector was really in upheaval, and at times when we went global from Airtel, the Airtel brand went global to South Asia and Africa. These were truly exciting and challenging and fulfilling for a CFO like me. Then came another opportunity 2 years back in 2015. My big 2.0 in my career happened. The company was looking for a global CHRO, and it led to some conversations, some ideas, some crossroads, some dilemmas, and finally I took the plunge. I took up the job of the global CHRO, moving from one end of the spectrum, finance, to HR. Airtel is another great company which thrives on ownership, entrepreneurial drive, and risk-taking. And I was one of those experiments that the company really did with all these qualities that it really values. So here I am today at the SHRM platform in front of all of you, wearing my HR hat, and I'm trying to forget my old finance hat. And the topic is the art of winning. But if you will permit me, I'll really share the learnings about the winnings of experiences, the experiences of winning that I've gathered from all these varied experiences. So let me start with aspirations. If you see winning teams, one common trait in all the organizations is the kind of aspiration they set for the organization. And these find expression in the form of strategic plans, targets, goals, etc. And a CFO revels in that. As a CFO setting high performance standards, aspirations is a critical step for the financial performance management of the company. And people are inherently ambitious, and they like to go for big achievements. And I'm sure if you ask a question to all of you, wouldn't you like to be associated with big achievements in your life? You would say yes. But still, as a CFO, I really struggled with the process of target setting. And I often wondered why. Why do we have such difficulty in setting targets for high performance? And I think I really found the answer when I moved over the fence, crossed the fence to the HR role. And then I didn't have to scratch too much. And I think I found the answer. This is about matching the individual aspirations with those of the organization. There has to be something in it for me, and it has to be big enough for me to stretch myself. If you have a perfect answer for that, the more perfect you can achieve the aspirations, the goals quickly align, and then the eureka moments happen, and it leads to wonderful results. I think that has been one big learning on aspirations. As a CFO, I often wondered what drives excellence in few companies and why others really struggle to keep pace with a few. And I think I understand this much better. It's all about passion. When this passion drives people, their hearts beat for the organization. And if you find this rhythm of the heartbeat in the organization, minds quickly get united by the common and the higher purpose. And that is when you see your organization really evolving and setting the pace in the industry. And these are the kind of organizations which carve out unique positions through excellence. And I can talk about examples in my career of what we do in Airtel, what I did in Unilever, and so on and so forth. And these turn out to be those real, glorious, and famous moments in your lives, both for the individual and for the organization. I would like all of you to actually pause for a moment and think for yourselves. Think of those moments when you really put your heart and soul into what you were really doing, and didn't those moments really lead to wonderful results? The same thing holds good for the entire organization. And I think that is one big learning as a CFO, where I really struggled on how do you really get your organization to be in that zone of excellence. I think I found the real answer when I moved over to the HR side. It's about the heartbeat. It's not just about the unification of minds. The third one is a very finance topic, and it's about investment. And this is an evergreen favorite topic for all the CFOs who are anyway obsessed with investment projects, DCF, IRR, business cases, payback, and so on and so forth. As a CFO, I had a pretty straight equation in my mind. Invest smartly and go for high ROIs, ensure that you cross the hurdle rates and you are there, the board will back you, and then keep pushing the entire organization for the results. But what I realized as a CHRO is that we need to be equally serious about investing in people development and their growth. These are the moments when you realize that the hard numbers and the soft people aspects both have to go hand in hand and both matter to performance, and striking the right balance is probably the most important thing. And I think one had to really undergo this transformation in a career to internalize what people go through and how you really strike the balance between the hard and the soft aspects of performance. CFOs are quite obsessed with valuations of their sectors and their companies. And there's something called earnings multiple in finance. Your enterprise valuation is derived as a multiple of the EBITDA, but what drives the multiple? Sectors and companies which are highly innovative are generally awarded a higher multiple by the stock market. So what does a CFO do? In his or her quest for a higher multiple, one pushes for more creativity and innovation. I did so, but mostly ended up adopting a push-button approach. I thought one could switch on innovation and switch off innovation at my will and pleasure. And at most times, I got frustrated at the slow pace of innovation, because you always looked at those examples where the faster examples of innovation really led to higher multiples and great valuations. So one was really frustrated. And this was one question I pursued even after I crossed the fence into the CHRO role, and realized that the key is to make it psychologically and emotionally safe for people to do out-of-the-box things. Encourage them to use the right side of their brain, come up with unconventional thoughts, encourage divergent thinking, take their ideas seriously, acknowledge some of the wacky ideas, recognize such ideas. That is when the real risk appetite of people go up, and that's when the collective risk appetite of the organization goes up. And when such risk appetite is shown up, innovation happens, and those real wow moments happen. And you definitely, when the wow moments happen, the organization is rewarded with the wow multiples on your EBITDA. So I think there is a big learning here. It's not about switching on and off. It's about making it psychologically and emotionally safe for people to do really out-of-the-box things. And again, this has been quite a deep learning for me. There is, it's commonly said that change is the only constant, isn't it? And CFOs anyway are obsessed with change. They look at growth, delta, what's the change in revenue, what's the change in profit, what's the change in share price, total shareholder return between this period, start and end, and so on. They are really obsessed with change. But a lot of this change depends on the kind of things that we want to carry out. It could be transformational, it could be just tactical, it could be strategic, it could be operational change. But for CFOs, I think the intellectual rationale for the change was enough material for discussion on the table. There is an intellectual rationale for the change, and I hope all of you get it. If you don't get it, we are wasting our time here. It's quite common sense, and therefore let's get on with it. It's a very straight approach. But as a CHRO, I realized that the more critical factor for the success of the change agenda is the belief. People have to believe in the change. People have to believe in the need for change and the power of the change. If this belief is strong, the outcomes happen better and quicker, and these become the turning points in the lives of organizations. The CFO and the CHRO have a different approach to making commitments. As a CFO, I asked for all the facts and figures, created scenarios, did multiple iterations, performed multiple evaluations, and then I was in a position to commit myself and the company. But as a CHRO, the steps you follow are quite different. One has to do a deep listening to people. It's very different. It's not about facts and figures, it's about feelings. It's another F, which is feelings. One has to do deep listening to people, individually and in groups, before taking a decision. I call this as follow. If you can follow in the true sense, feel from the heart what others are feeling, you will be a much better leader. And this was a transformational lesson for me. For someone used to black or white, suddenly too many grays appeared in my life. And the only way I could cope with the grays in my life was through the multiple conversations I started having with people in the company. To me, this was a real haha moment in my journey. I learned and heard things that I hadn't really felt or heard before. Leading by example. This is a common trait for all the leaders, whether you are the CFO or the CHRO or any other CXO. People see you leading from the front, setting an example for them. They get energized, a sense of direction, and you can feel the momentum. But the one deep learning I went through, both as CFO and CHRO, is that the leader must not only lead by example, but also make it known in every possible way, in forums, in social media, and so on. Communication is a multiplier force. If your people believe in you, they see you do it, the faith in the entire system goes up. To all of us as leaders, this is about our real moments of truth when we stand up in public forums and really stand for the change, we stand for the agenda, and that's what I mean by leading from the front, leading by example. That's all I wanted to share today with the August group here. These are my learnings and experiences with winning, the forces and attitudes that have helped me and shaped my thinking in my journey so far, especially in this tumultuous change in my own career from one end of the spectrum on finance to the HR side. I want to thank SHRM for this great opportunity to place before you all these pictures from my real experience in my professional journey. I do realize there are more such experiments of people having gone through divergent paths, and I'm sure we can all learn from each other. And I hope SHRM will capture the essence of all such experiences and really make some science out of this. But if I were to take an informed guess, self-informed guess, something that I've realized myself, all these studies are likely to converge onto one conclusion, that winning is always collective. I thank you very much for the patient hearing. I look forward to your feedback and a few questions. But it's about winning. How do you win with teams? And that's what I would like Yash to come across and share with you all of you. Thank you.